Hi, it's Martin and welcome to another video on my Knit365 YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a short catch up, pop along, pop in, I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's going to be a short video with some Pride progress. That should have been the name of the video, shouldn't it? We'll see. So it's been a week since I launched my Pride craft along, and I want to try and keep these videos going throughout June at least. There's a little bit of accountability for me in terms of what I want to make during Pride Month, and then into July and August for a bit of a longer term craft along. Thank you so much to everyone that watched that Pride video and that supported it. There were so many lovely comments about you being an ally or having family members who identify as LGBTQIA+. It's a wonderful community vibe, and that's exactly what I was hoping we would get. So thank you so much for the reception that I got on that video. So I hope that you are well, and I hope that you've had a good week. I've got a couple of finished objects. If you've seen my Instagrams, they won't be a surprise. There are some little tiny bears. So I've got some bears to share, and I've got two patterns that I want to share from some dyers in the LGBTQ plus community, which I will talk about. So part of this was trying to create a wave of rainbows and some positivity and optimism at the moment while it's really tough out there politically for lots of folks in our community. So it was trying to have that kind of positivity and raise folks up, as well as, more importantly, trying to raise awareness of other creators, dyers, designers, makers, etc. So I've got a couple that I'm going to share with you folks today. And then we've got a YouTube live coming up in a few weeks' time, so more on that later on. So it's not going to be a really long video. My plan with these Saturday check-ins are very much just to share my progress, what I've been up to, and then hopefully we'll have like designer of the week or maker of the week, and lots of you will be in touch hopefully and share makers and pattern designers and people who you're working on, or whose patterns you're working on. Do you know what I mean? It's hard because I want this to encompass everyone, but you know what I mean. So hopefully then we'll have a little section about patterns or makers of the week that I can shout about, that will hopefully introduce you lovely folks to new dyers, makers, designers, etc. So let's get going, shall we? Let's do my finished objects first. So I talked about the mini bears that I was going to make, and I've made good progress this week already. So I want to make 11 bears, and I'm going to have one bear colour each for the colours from the progressive Pride flag. Oh, that could be the thumbnail. So I've got my red bear who came first, and then red was very quickly followed by orange. Although he does look a little fox-like, but I think that's just the colour. That's the orange colour. And then we made yellow. So this video is planning to go live hopefully at 4 o'clock today, Saturday, as I'm recording this. The reel behind the scenes for Yellow Bear will also go live at the same time. So we've got 3 cute little rainbow bears. Someone suggested in last week's video that I could maybe tie them up, or string them up, sorry, and I could make bunting with them. I really like that idea. Maybe along the bookshelf, and then they can come out every Pride and we can decorate the flat. So the pattern is by Toft, and it is the mini Peter the Bear pattern. And I'm also using Toft yarn. So I've got a range of colours in all the colours of the progressive Pride flag. So some of these, so there'll be lots of colourful little bears coming up. So next is going to be green, which I wonder if I can get green and blue done this weekend. If I did 3 last week, I might be able to get 3 done this week. That would be a plan. If I could get those done, I've actually done the Pride flag then, haven't I? Because I've done the 6 colours from the main Pride flag. So I think that's going to be my plan for the week. What I'm also going to think about doing then is I need some plan for my leftovers. So, for example, this is how much red and orange I've got left. I think I must have been more brutal with leaving longer ends on the red, because I've got a little bit less red than I have orange. They all started out as 25-gram balls, but I'm going to have all these leftovers. So I need to think of something. I need to weigh them, and then I can work out what I'll have left. Someone did suggest making a Pride Martin bear. For those of you that don't know, this is Martin bear. I can never do this in reverse. This is Martin bear, and he is a pattern also by Toft, named after me, Martin the Tibetan Blue Bear. I was very, very lucky to go to Toft HQ last year, and we made a Martin bear. So I could use my leftovers to make a rainbow Martin bear, like a red leg, an orange leg, yellow leg, and so forth. I could work out how to put all the colours. Maybe I fade it up. I'd need to work out how the top arms... I'm not sure. Anyway, I think I've got... Let's say it was a 25-gram ball. So let's say I've got about 8 or 9 grams left. So what's that? 88, let's say it's 8 grams. Let's say 88 grams of yarn. So just under 100 grams. So that will be enough to make a Martin bear, because he is 75 grams. I've just realised, look at my suntan. That looks really bad on the camera. I was out walking yesterday for charity with work. We were doing a sponsored walk to raise money and awareness for Crisis. I walked 20 miles. Honestly, my legs do not feel like they belong to me. Weirdly, the inside of my knees, like not inside my knee, the inside of my leg, they're really sore, like really sore. I put Factor 50 on my head. We're going on a tangent now. Factor 50 on my head. I kind of caught the sun a little bit, but I didn't put any sun cream on my arms. My head always burns, even like in a cloudy day. Bald people problems. But I didn't think about doing my arms because it wasn't that sunny, but look. It looks worse on the camera, I promise you. This doesn't look as red in real life. And it'll go nice brown colour, so I'll have a lovely t-shirt suntan. But I just realised in the camera how bad my suntan looks. And it's patchy as well. It's because I was knitting as I was walking, so my arms were in this position. So therefore the sun has just caught, like the inside of my arm here, didn't see any sunlight. Because as I'm walking, I'm knitting. More on that in a future blog when I do my monthly roundup. I knit socks all the way around. So I walked 20 miles. It felt like 20 miles for the end. But I also knit for 6 hours. They were talking about it in work. It's like, I'm only coming if I can bring my knitting. It was a really good cause, but it felt a bit like a waste of 7 hours just walking and not knitting. So I had a bag on my wrist, and off I went. But dodgy suntan. So, Martin Bear, that's where we got to, dodgy suntan. I was trying, how did we get onto the suntan on my weird arms? So yeah, Martin Bear is 75 grams of yarn in the kit. So that could be. But if you've got any pattern suggestions for about 80 grams of yarn, I've obviously got more Toft yarn in my stash. So if you think of something for 100 grams, let me know. Scrappy projects. I don't think there's going to be that many scrappy projects that use just 100 grams. Like scrappy projects like blankets or jumpers and stuff. Like I'm going to need much more than 100 grams. But anything that we can do to use up the scraps also helps my let's use more yarn for my stash than I'm bringing into the flat. So that will help with this month's target as well. So made good progress on those. That's the only real crafting I've done this week. Work has been... It's been a busy week, like a really busy week. So I feel like I need to have a bit of a better week. What I have done though, so let's just quickly check in on this skein of yarn here. I showed you off last week. So this is by Niche of Knotted by Niche. And this is her Pride special skein. I've decided the project that I'm going to make. And you're just going to need to bear with me while I get the name of the pattern. It's the something quick. And my iPad's dead. Bear with. It's the something quick cowl. This yarn is going to be using the pattern called the Think Fast Cowl by Fatima Hind. I'll pop a picture on screen of the cowl. I love a cowl. It's great for an extra layer when it gets a bit cold out. And the eyelet is quite a simple pattern, but I think because there's going to be just little flecks of colour, I think it will look lovely in this yarn. So the photo was from Fatima's Ravelry page, and I will pop the link to that Ravelry page below so that you can go and check that out if you wish. And Fatima is a member of the LGBTQ plus community and is a knitwear designer. And I will pop Fatima's Instagram details on below as well so that you can go and check her out. So I'm excited to get that pattern and then start. And I want to say it is 5.5mm needles, DK weight yarn. So I'm hoping it will go quite quick. We'll see. So I'm hoping I will get that cast on this week at least. I'm away with work for a few days. I'm off on a work trip Wednesday and Thursday. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I've got a couple of hours on the train. So that might be a nice pattern to have wound the wool and get started. And then I can share that progress with you next week. So I said I'll pop the details to the pattern and to Fatima's Instagram. Please go and check her out. There's a lovely Happy Pride photo on her grid on Instagram where Fatima introduces herself. And she's got some really lovely patterns. Fatima is the cable lover. You'll see when you look at her Instagram, there are loads of cable patterns, which are great. So that's the first pattern that I've got. The other person that I wanted to flag and share with you all is Jimmy Does Knitting. I believe that's his Instagram name. Yes, Jimmy Does Knitting. I'll pop Jimmy's Instagram details below. And I am also going to make this hat, which is called the Troy Beanie. And I'll pop that on screen now. So Jimmy's also a member of the LGBTQ plus community and is a pattern designer. And again, on Jimmy's Instagram and Ravelry pages, you can go and check out all the range of patterns that he's got. Jimmy also does these great, amazing jumpers with these really wonderful patterns on there. So hopefully a new to you designer, if you don't know about Jimmy, go and check out his details. And all of the proceeds from the Troy Beanie during June are going to go to the Ruth Ellis Centre. So that's a fundraising for an LGBTQ charity. And also 50% of all of his patterns, so 100% of the Troy pattern are going to go to the Ruth Ellis Centre, and 50% of all of his other patterns during June are going to the Trevor Project. So again, an LGBTQ charity. So again, really worthwhile cause, and I'm really happy to be able to support Jimmy in getting that pattern. So I've bought that pattern to make a hat. I did contemplate making this into a hat, but I quite like the idea of this being a cowl. I really like that idea. So I'm going to go I was going to go stash diving, but maybe my Toft leftovers would make a Troy beanie and I can just stripe the colours until I run out. Ooh, right, bear with me a moment while Can we investigate this and do this now? Troy beanie, how much yarn do I need to make a Troy beanie? 100 gram, it recommends 100 grams. It doesn't say how much yarn I use in total. Oh, right. So it tells me to buy 100 gram of yarn, and I will have 88 grams of yarn. But if I run out, I'll be on the crown by that point, won't I? By the time I run out, I could always just grab a ball of yarn from my stash and just to close it. Right. I love these videos because now you folks, without knowing, have helped me work out what I'm going to do with my... Now, if you do have a scrappy yarn project that you want to recommend, please pop it in the comments and recommend it anyway, because there might be some more scraps left from this, from the cowl. Lots of you other folks out there might also want some scrappy projects, and I'll try and see if there are some scrappy patterns recommended for like 100 gram projects. I will try and call those out in a future video, but that could be an option. Then I could make the pattern, and it's rainbow themed because it's got the Toft minis in it. It's double knit yarn, which is what the pattern calls. That could be a solution. Yes, okay, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to make the, I forgot the name of it, the Think Fast Cowl, again, by Fatima Hind in that. And I'm going to make the Troy Boy hat by Jimmy Does Knitting in all of my Toft Pride leftovers. There we go. A plan has come together, as well as then this week. So if I can try and crochet 3 more bears this week and start my cowl, I think that will be a good week. That'll be a productive week. So I think that's going to be my plans for the week ahead. The other thing I was going to talk about then, so I said about a YouTube live. Lots of you may have seen, so the maker, Gary Knits and Rides on Instagram. I'll pop Gary's details below. Gary organises a make-along during Pride, and he calls it the Pride Pod Mal 2025. So the Pride Podcasters Make-Along 2025. And it happens every year where Gary pulls loads of different creatives together and we do some wonderful community things. This will be my first year joining in properly with Gary. And on the 21st of June, so Saturday the 21st, I am going to be live with Gary on Instagram, on Zoom and YouTube, which is going to be super exciting. So let me just get the times so that I can tell you times around the world, and then you don't miss out. There's an image that I'll pop on screen now, which is so you might see that on Instagram. So if you think about that visual, when you see that visual, it'll remind you about the mal that we're going to be doing. And so we're going to do Saturday the 21st of June, and it's going to be 9:30 GMT, so 9:30 PM UK time. That's going to be 4:30 Eastern or 1:30 Pacific. I'll pop the details in the description box below. So I'll be live on that podcasters meetup. Myself, Gary from Gary Knits, and Stephanos from the Be Extra Knitting podcast. I'll pop their details below. And if you want to join us, there will be a Zoom link where you can hopefully join the Zoom, and we'll also push ourselves, hopefully, technology permitting, onto YouTube. So we'll be live on my channel, so you can come along and just watch on YouTube and you can chat along with us in the comments, or you might want to join on the Zoom and come and join the Zoom. So I'm in the middle of chatting with Gary and Stephanos to just finalize all of those details and confirm. So we'll talk about that in next week's video again, and it'll be all over our social medias. But really hope that you get to come and join us. We'll record it for those of you that can't make it live. So as I said, 21st of June, 9:30 PM GMT, 4:30 PM Eastern, and 1:30 PM Pacific. So hopefully you can check your time zones and work out what time that is for you if you're not in one of those. And it'll be wonderful to see some of you there. Bring along your Pride makes, your questions, answers. Let's have a wonderful chat and a bit of a cozy hour or two, just working on some projects and being part of this wonderful community. So I think that was everything that I was going to cover in this week's video. Progress on the things I've made, plans for the coming weeks, and then announcing the podcast meetup in a couple of weeks. So thank you very much for being here. Please let me know in the comments below pattern recommendations, but also let me know, have you started something? A lot of you were finding yarn in your stash and going up looking for patterns and people to support. Let me know what you've started, if you've joined in. Really excited to hear more about your patterns and what projects you've started. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. There will be a normal video on Monday. My monthly roundup is going to be back, as I didn't do it last week. So my monthly roundup will be on Monday. And then I'll be back next Saturday with a Pride specific Summer of Love craft along. I was going to say crochet along. Craft along update with some of my progress, where we've got to, different makers and all the rest of it. So I hope that you have a wonderful week. Look after each other, support each other. If you're not able financially to support any of these makers, that is absolutely not a problem. But if you are able to share a maker, go and like their content, bookmark it, send it to someone else. There are many ways that you can help support creatives or makers or dyers by just liking their content, sharing their content with other ways. I know times are difficult for lots of people, so it's not always about being able to support financially, but hopefully there are some non-financial ways through sharing content that you are able to support folks. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your support and your lovely comments on last week's video. And until we speak again, happy crafting.